Now, even though this isn't a supercar of any kind and it's not a classic car, this to me is a little bit of a Meet Your Heroes type of situation. Because ever since the car came out in 2012, I wanted to drive one of these so badly, but I never got the opportunity. Now with the 2017 facelifted version, I've had the car for 2 weeks and I drove it for over 3,000 kilometers already. For this 2017 facelifted version, they did the usual stuff. They swapped the bumpers, you get LED headlights, new taillights. The LED technology for the headlights works properly well. The light is extremely bright. These tires are 215/45 R17s, and 215 is actually wide enough for the GT86, but somehow it looks like it's running on space savers. Where you now have the fake air vents, you used to have the most awesome GT86 badge, and that is now gone. And it's not the exact same part as on the Subaru. So it's not like they're sharing this part now. They just got rid of the coolest badge on the car. Anyways, I like how they have this throwback feel in the GT86. I mean, these buttons here, that is about as 80s as it's gonna get. I think I remember these specifically from a 90s Subaru Forester. I mean, they're very sturdy buttons. It's very cool. And the new display they have gives you a bunch of information. Some of it you need, some of it you don't need so much, but it's still fun to have. The sat-nav that we have here, nothing about that is good. Some of it is acceptable, none of it is good. They have these, what they call Grand Lux suede-like accents, so it's fake Alcantara essentially. But if you drive like this is properly comfortable. The AC controls are a little bit flimsy. The buttons down here obviously are plastic, but they feel very nice. When you press them, they feel good. All of the touch points are of very high quality materials. And this is exactly how that is supposed to be. Because if somebody gives you $5 to cook a burger, you better go and spend $4.50 on the meat. And this is what they've done with this GT86, and it works out brilliantly. And it also has very fast windows. Yep, very fast windows. When you pop the hood, you can see a bunch of stuff. It's not just plastic covers like in most modern cars. You can see the generator, you can see the starter motor, you can see the gearbox, you can see the serpentine belt, and all of this stuff. Like I said, the car has a very 1980s, 1990s theme about it, and that I find very, very cool. But now when we have a definite turbo era, it is super refreshing that somebody has the balls to be the manufacturer that is going to give you a relatively low-powered car, but it is a naturally aspirated motor, and the entire internet is all about naturally aspirated motors. Now, if I was to buy a hot hatchback for the same money, I would never go for a 2-liter naturally aspirated one. I'm taking a 300 horsepower turbo 2-liter motor over those any day of the week. Here though, the concept is completely different. Because Toyota has done quite a bit here for people that want to have the rear drive experience but can't afford something along the lines of, let's say, BMW M235i. Because those cars, I mean, they cost 40, 45, right? This is 31. There's a tremendous difference in price. From $4,500 or so, especially in second gear, I wouldn't call this packing a punch at all, but it has some power. This doesn't give you a rush of any sort, but it is plenty of power to have a superb time on a good country road. All of the inputs are very immediate. That is one thing to say about naturally aspirated motors. When you ask for more power, you get it immediately. In this particular case, not a lot of it, but immediately. The torque dip that you have from 3 to 4 grand, when you drive spiritedly, that doesn't really matter because you never go below 4,000 RPM anyways. If you do happen to put yourself into a situation where you have to accelerate out of a corner while the motor revs under 4,000 RPM, you're now officially screwed because you have no power at all. During everyday driving though, that is not a problem at all. And the fact that you don't have all that much power also means that you're not quite so inclined to just go overly fast. It's gonna probably save you a ticket or two. And most of the engine actually sits behind the front wheels. So essentially it's a front mid-engine layout. That's a little bit special too, no? So weight distribution, weight overall, 1,250 kilograms. All of this it's all great news. It leans a little bit, but it doesn't make the car unresponsive or anything like that. And actually, it starts leaning over once you've already pushed quite hard. Toyota themselves actually said that they deliberately put eco tires on the car so that it would have less grip. All right, so a little bit of rear drive goodness within reasonable limits of speed. Then how come many of the German market GT86s, when the car first came out, were actually delivered on Bridgestone Potenzas? Somebody explain. The car is so balanced and its initial reaction is understeer rather than oversteer, at least on this 2017 model. You see, it understeers there a bit, but it never actually transitions to oversteer. If you want to have oversteer in the GT86, guess what? You still have to upset the balance of the chassis. It's not just going to oversteer, not with the tarmac quality we have here. If you're not planning on oversteering via upsetting the balance of the chassis, then you actually don't even need to put it in track mode, or their sport mode is called track mode. It doesn't really make a difference so long as you keep the car balanced. You see right there, yes, you can feel that the rear is pushing a little bit and that it is a rear drive layout, but I can't believe that you will need the eco tires to accomplish just that. And I've tried track mode plenty of times, and I've tried in corners where it was safe to do, to push harder and harder. But at some point it's like, all right, if I would have to push that hard for the back end to do anything that resembles a little bit of oversteer, then I might as well not bother with it. If you want the car to just oversteer, you still have to probably be Scandinavian. I do still wonder on the Michelin Pilot Super Sports or something similar how the car would feel then. Maybe stuff would get even more crisp, the steering even more precise, even though that is a lot to ask because this is plenty precise as it is. Feedback, you do have to pay attention to it, but you can actually feel once the front end loses a bit of grip, you can feel that through the steering. You do have to pay proper attention though. The gearbox has a very short throw, and actually the clutch pedal has very little travel to it as well. So this at first takes some getting used to. You can shift super quickly, and the gearbox is completely fine with it. Oh yeah, heel and towing in the GT86 is actually very easy. Oh yeah, that always kind of confuses me when the hazards come on under hard braking, because it obviously doesn't have dynamic tail lights. The brakes are very effective, and you can modulate them easily. The nose dives a little bit, but it's not much of an issue at all. It's just that track driving is very important to me. And on a racetrack that is a brake-heavy racetrack, I can see these small discs overheating quite quickly. Then again, I haven't tried. I've personally, over the past 3,168.7 kilometers, have become quite a big fan of the GT86. However, I don't like those people that go on the internet and tell others that they're idiots if they don't like the car, that they don't understand driving. I mean, it's a legitimate complaint because there isn't much power to be had here. But it is adequate for public road driving. If you live in a place where you mostly have straight roads, or if you are an Autobahn enthusiast, then the GT86 is not for you. And then Toyota Motorsports Germany actually runs their own GT86 Cup in the VLN series, the Nürburgring Nordschleife VLN series. How awesome is that? How freaking awesome is that? I think it's tremendous that both Toyota and Subaru invest so much into having these cars be a motorsports thing, be an enthusiast special, because there's no other affordable sports car on the market that you can only sell to real enthusiasts. You will have to find somebody who is going to appreciate the platform and the balance and the low weight and the low center of gravity and all of these sports car things so much that they're willing to leave 70, 80 horsepower on the table for essentially the same cost. Now, comparing the creature comforts and the interior materials to a Golf GTI just because it's the same price point is not a fair comparison at all, because this is a dedicated platform, and developing that means all the R&D cost, all of the development cost is going to be on this one product. You do feel comfortable in a GT86. The ride quality in this 2017 is actually very good. On the Autobahn, if you're not on the worst parts of the Autobahn, which there are not that many of, you're going to be comfortable. The only thing that will be considerably worse is the noise level that you have in the cabin, because yeah, it is very loud at times, and actually over 200 kph sometimes you have a wind noise coming from this side that is borderline unbearable. One thing that I find truly less than acceptable though is that passenger side mirror. It creates a massive blind spot, which just spent the extra $1 or $2 or whatever it costs to put a proper mirror in there. This really sucks, because it makes driving so much less comfortable, and the price difference to a proper mirror just can't be that high. I'm telling you, if this holds up on track well, this may be the best around 30,000 euro car you can buy. I want to find out if A, the power is enough, B, can the brakes hold up, is the motor temperature going to be alright, stuff like that. And I love my hot hatchbacks, but for 30, you're not getting the ones that have the big brakes, you don't get the limited slip differential. For those, you have to spend around 34, 35. If the GT86 continues all the way to 2020, 2021, that would be very cool. And I hope they will have a car that comes after the GT86 that has this very same idea still in mind. I'm just very glad I got to drive the GT86 finally, because this definitely is not a never meet your heroes type of situation. The GT86 is a proper hero in my book.
I am so thrilled you finally drove this car.
Yeah,
we've been talking about this for so long, and of course, I've obviously been owning one and talking about it ad nauseum, so I'm so glad you finally drove it.
Dude, I wanted to drive that thing ever since I saw it on the 2012 Top Gear cover.
Sure.
I think it's so cool that the developers, like the engineers, it's like all of those people are obviously like sports car people.
Your first impression sort of reminded me of everything Todd and I had experienced when we first drove this car and all those sensations. But I keep feeling like all of us, and everybody included, have to keep making some sort of, we're convincing ourselves that the car is amazing. It's great to drive and it just needs more power. The shifting and the power, it just needs more power.
And I don't even know that I agree with that. because I need to drive it on track. The brakes, motor temperature, all of that stuff. Is that gonna? I mean, if that holds up, that is the car to get at 31,000 euros. It just is.
Yeah, I see that. But I think you're right. I think it's the difference though is I would say to you, Paul, the difference is not that everybody is thinking that it needs more power. I think everybody is coming to the conclusion that it can absolutely take it and it would only be better.
Yes.
100 horsepower per liter of displacement is good.
But at this point, you're right. Turbos are so ubiquitous that we're all spoiled to power, and this chassis has been proven to be able to take more. But yet, to your point, it's an unbelievable chassis, especially for the money, to get something equivalent. I mean, I've talked about this too much. To get something equivalent, you have to spend so much more money that's where it's sweet spotted.
What cars are next?
I have a bunch of stuff coming up. Next up is going to be this guy driving a Porsche 911 4S on the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
We're not jealous. We're really not jealous.
I'm really trying to keep it down here. I'm trying to keep calm.
EcoBoost Mustang.
Okay.
Cool.
Miata with the big motor.
Oh, good. That's the one we get. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
The idea is sort of similar to the GT86, though. Sort of.
No, you're absolutely right. It is. It's absolutely the best direct competitor. So I'm excited about all that. As always, man, great work on this piece.
Nice.
The B-roll is fantastic in this piece. You're just really ratcheting it up a notch. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Great job, man.
Laters.